30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Tuesday in Nashville. We are at our old broadcast site that we used at the start of the year, Ford Ice Center, taken over by the Predators for training camp, and we wish them nothing but the very best as they get ready for the 23-24 season. Hard to believe it's almost here. We're knee-deep into football. Let's get right to it. In football season, we begin every show with Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that's absolutely possible. So dial her up, 615-969-4350. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, joining us on the show. Terry, what's shaking?
Well, George, it's interesting, in terms of the Titans and their run game. We know that they've been a running team for pretty much their entire existence here, it seems like, George. And here lately, obviously, Derrick Henry's been the featured back. But it's not been for a lack of trying that they've tried to get a complementary piece to go with him. They tried Dion Lewis. They've tried Jeremy McNichols, Dontrell Hilliard, Darrington Evans, lots of names that have kind of come and gone, but they may have found a keeper this time around in this kid, Tajay Spears, because he seems to have the type of electricity, if you will, that a lot of these other guys maybe didn't show or would only show in occasional bursts. It really is starting to look like that this is going to be a two-pronged attack out of the backfield for the Titans this season, with Tajay Spears maybe not getting as many touches as Derrick Henry, but certainly getting enough to be an important part of their game plan.
Terry, what's his ability to catch it out of the backfield?
Really solid, really strong. He's a guy that has shown an ability not only to catch the football out of the backfield in more than just a screen pass or a check down, but he's a guy who can go run an actual route and then do something with the football once he catches it, turn up field and go. We saw that several times in training camp, his ability to do just that. The Titans haven't exactly unleashed a whole lot of that early in the season, but I got a feeling it's coming.
So tell me what else is on your mind today.
Well, it's interesting. I guess one of the things that obviously is on everybody's mind in terms of the NFL was the injury that Nick Chubb suffered last night. And certainly his season is over. Our thoughts and prayers with him on wishing him a speedy recovery. But it's going to it's kind of interesting, in terms of putting that in the Titans' perspective. It's going to be the third straight game that they've faced an opponent that doesn't have its lead running back. The Browns won't have Chubb. Austin Eckler was inactive for the Chargers last Sunday, and then Alvin Kamara still serving that suspension for the Saints. He missed the season opener. So it's very interesting that this Titans defense, which is really good at stopping the run, has really not been tested the way that they normally would have been.
Terry, anything else on your end?
Well, one thing that Mike Vrabel said yesterday that we'll talk a little bit on the injury front. Sounds like Christian Fulton and Amani Hooker may have a chance to get back. Hooker, of course, in the concussion protocol, so he's got to pass all that. And it does sound like Peter Skoronski may miss another week or two after having what Vrabel described as, quote, a procedure, even though there's been multiple reports saying it was an appendectomy.
Yeah, and that is a procedure.
That is a procedure.
Terry, good stuff. Tomorrow they get back to work, and obviously we'll have a lot more to report on.
All right, sounds good.
Terry McCormick, same time, same place tomorrow, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. she wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen at 615 969 4350. Before we bring Kelly up, let me answer a question that got posed at me, which was this. Why would the Predators training camp cause you all to have to move? It's not like you're hosting the show from center ice. That's a very good question. They basically have taken over at Ford Ice Center all of the office space, virtually every piece of anything for a couple of weeks will be theirs. And that's one of the changes with Barry Trotz, that they have moved their entire training camp operation and their entire staff out there. So it's not just the 2 sheets of ice, but also the second floor where we are and all of the office space where in the past, if we've had to move, thus we've moved to Braves Heaven over here. I'm looking to put another one of these up here, but a little concerned. I don't like their pitching right now at all. Okay, so we got that answered. Let's check in with Kelly Holcomb standing by in Murfreesboro. Kelly, how are you?
George, I'm glad he asked that question, because I was going to ask you the same question, but I didn't want to be annoying to you, because I know sometimes they get annoying. But tell them to grow up, dude. Like, we're trying to have a show. We're not doing it at center ice.
No, we're not telling them that at all, because this has been a really good partnership. They have helped us greatly. Hopefully, we've helped them some. We're happy to accommodate. We have a second studio here in Braves Heaven, or in this case, over by the football stadium. So we're happy to accommodate.
Okay.
We have a better attitude than you do.
As long as you're happy, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? We got to make the boss man happy.
Yeah, of course, you've only been to the Ford Ice Center once, and when you did show up, Billy.
I was 45 minutes late.
Barely showed up.
Oh, my God. Did he?
Hey, Billy, relax. Billy, relax.
So what he's saying, Billy, is it's okay for me to get a shot in, but not you.
No, I can't. No shots for me. When
you've been in business 30 years, you can tee off on him. He'll be in a home somewhere anyway.
We're both elderly. We're older than he is. We've got seniority rank over him. So Billy just needs to be quiet, do the updates, and then get the show rolling.
Do you? Is there an update in our future? Really?
I do have an update.
Well, that's wonderful.
We start with
can't wait to hear it.
Couple of slogfest last night. Saints beat the Panthers 20-17 in Charlotte. Bryce Young, 153 yards. He was sacked 4 times. The Steelers beat the Browns 26-22 in Pittsburgh. Nick Chubb was carted off, though.
Yeah, I hated that.
Ugly injury. He's out for the season. And Deshaun Watson, after the game, said he played like S-word.
Yes, and he also behaved like it at times. Not only did he have the 2 face mask penalties, but he apparently pushed a referee. And given the problems that he has had, Kelly, I would have thought that his behavior would have towed the line big time.
I was quite shocked last night, fellas. I'm sure you were too. I know he hadn't played in a while. I know he's had some troubles off the field. We understand that, but that didn't even look like he looks like a shell of the guy that was at Clemson. He really does. I don't know, he looks like he's gotten thicker, he's gotten bigger, but he can't run like he used to. He's just I don't know. It was like, I don't want to say a deer in the headlights last night, but he just did not play well. You're going against a Pittsburgh defense that kind of got embarrassed in week 1 by the San Francisco 49ers, and they were ready to play, and he just did not play well last night at all.
So, Kelly, let me give you a theory here. In Houston, he was allowed almost into some sandlot kind of stuff where when the play broke down, that's when he really got dangerous because he could move like crazy. Stefanski seems to have him in more of a rigid setup, but I'm also with you that he does not look as quick.
Well, he does not. He looks like he's put on some weight.
Yes.
And I know he hasn't had much playing time in the last couple of years. They gave him all that money, but golly, he didn't look like the same guy that we all remember when he was at Clemson. And I know he was younger, but then he goes to the Texans, and he had a pretty good career at the Texans too. But for him to get all that money and for him to look the way he did yesterday, that was just now you got to give it to the Pittsburgh defense. I mean, they got embarrassed in week 1, so they came out and they were ready to play. They're going to be ready to play in Heinz Field.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Mike Tomlin's a really good coach. He's going to have those guys geared up and ready to play, but I was really surprised. And then when Nick Chubb went down, I don't know, and I haven't watched the news this morning about that stuff, George, but I couldn't watch it, man. I know that they didn't show any replays, but I didn't see the play. I know they were talking about it. Did he tear like everything in his knee again?
It sounds like it was very similar to what went on at Georgia, which was awful, just almost an explosion of his knee. From the angle that we saw on TV, you couldn't really tell, but they got reverse angles and they made the decision not to show it. Of course, the internet went crazy with it, and that's a little bit unfortunate. But look, our thoughts and prayers are with him.
Yeah.
Everything I know is a good person, runs incredibly hard. Other than maybe Derrick Henry, is there a better back in the league than him?
Don't think
Well,
so.
Christian McCaffrey's up there. But, when he was at Georgia, I always thought it was kind of Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. And I always thought Sony Michel was the better back. But, man, you can tell that the guy works hard. I've seen videos of him squatting. I mean, he squats massive amounts of weight. And it's just unfortunate because you hear – I mean, I think he's been up for the Walter Payton Award. He's such a great dude. He just looks like just a great guy, great teammate, and it's just unfortunate that happens because that's happened twice to the same knee, I think. So that could be career ending for him.
Yeah, he had worked so hard to get back after injuring that knee, and then just as he gets back, he re-injures it. So that's awful for him.
Sad deal.
Yeah, and another running back. The Giants running back, Saquon Barkley, he suffered an ordinary ankle sprain, they said, and it was expected to sideline him for a few weeks, but Coach Daboll said he's trending toward a game-time decision for Thursday night against the 49ers. All of a sudden, it's looking better for Saquon Barkley. So, with these running backs, it's almost like they're just eating themselves up. I mean, you're just running out of them, I feel like.
If he plays on Thursday night, that will be a medical miracle because if you saw the pain he was in Sunday,
I didn't see that one.
Man.
George, the bad thing about it is, and I hate to say this, and I know you're going to bring up the old C word again, but that's why it's kind of sketchy sometimes when, you hate injuries, but it's kind of sketchy sometimes to pay all that money to a running back. It really is.
No,
you're right.
I was waiting on a collusion comment from George.
The C word.
Deion Sanders has confirmed that Travis Hunter is out for Saturday's game against Oregon and condemned the recent death threats against Colorado State's Henry Blackburn for his hit on Hunter. Sanders confirmed Hunter suffered a lacerated liver on the hit. So obviously there's some awful stuff, being directed at Blackburn, but Deion Sanders said, I forgive him. Our team forgives him. Travis has forgiven him. Let's move on, which I thought was really classy. I mean, you expect that from most head coaches, but for him to actually come out and say it, he didn't have to be the person to say that, but I
like it.
Yeah. So
way to go.
Also, Missouri starting quarterback Brady Cook is questionable for Saturday's game against Memphis in St. Louis. He's dealing with lingering effects of a knee issue from a hit he took against K-State. So
they're going to play in the Dome right next to the Lumiere Casino. Why do I know that? Well,
you frequented that a bunch, I'm sure.
I've been to both. I've been to both.
The Colorado State game averaged 9.3 million viewers.
Which for
Saturday.
a 9:30 Nashville time start, how many viewers is that? Does it say?
It registered 8.2.
On the Richter scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what does that translate to number of people? Don't know.
I don't know.
Make up a number.
George,
Make up a number.
What do you mean?
Okay. If it got a 9 share, or did you say an 8 share?
He said 9 million. He said
8.2.
8.2 million. Yeah.
Oh, you said 8.2 million.
Yes.
Okay, that's the answer then.
Yes.
That's what I was looking for. In other words, maybe I need to turn on the hearing aid.
I think you need to adjust that.
We
over
need
there,
new
George.
bateria.
Oh man. Let's see here. Earlier today,
Bateria.
Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker responded to Michigan State's notice that it intends to fire him for cause. He said there are other motives at play, and there's been a bias against him throughout the process. He claimed his firing is a miscarriage of justice. He said, let's be clear. I don't believe Michigan State plans to fire me because I admitted to an entirely consensual private relationship with another adult who gave one presentation at Michigan State.
So,
and a lot of people are siding with him on that as well.
Well, let me use 2 words: lawyer up.
I told y'all yesterday, man. It just didn't smell right, man. It's just I don't. And you hate that things in our world goes on like that, but there's always underlying issues that, like, I don't know. It's too bad. It's too bad what happened.
My guess is that they come to some eventual middle of the road.
Yeah.
You're not getting 95 million, but you're not getting 0. If we can get you out of our hair, that's just a guess. I have no.
We're going. Yeah.
They're going to
give you something.
Yeah, they're going to have to pay him something. There's no way.
Absolutely.
They get out unscathed there. But that's all I got.
Well, good. That's exciting.
Oh yeah,
Billy. Thank you.
No
Here's
problem.
something that's more exciting. Tony Basilio joins us from Knoxville after the break. We'll get his reaction, his caller's reaction Saturday night. I know it wasn't pretty, but what are the thoughts up there, and what are they going to do to make it better? Stay tuned. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. We're back, and there's an awful lot to sort out and talk with Tony Basilio about. Longtime Knoxville sports talk show host. He was up late Saturday night, and God only knows what those calls were like as they got into the wee hours of midnight and beyond. Tony, are you alive and well?
I'm alive. I don't know about well, but I just don't want Kelly or Coach or Billy to see me look like this, George. So I thought we would just do this one through the magic of the telephone today, man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what I think, but those three, they want to have a better.
I was looking forward to seeing Tony's face today. I'll say that.
You wanted bags
I'm
under.
rather disheveled and dejected looking and exhausted. So those would be my three descriptors I would use for me right now.
Tony, none of us thought it would turn out the way it did. It really, other than the first touchdown drive, was pretty non-competitive. Give me some thoughts on what you think went on and what is going on.
What went on is this team lost a lot of talent from last year. And I think, in the offseason, I kept telling you guys that my sense of this team was that they were very much a work in progress with their offensive line and that we wouldn't really know what they had till they got on the field with Florida. What Tennessee has right now is an okay Southeastern Conference football team. The good news is you're in a league where most teams are okay, which means you still have a bunch of games you can win. It also means you have a bunch of games you can lose. So, and then one other takeaway was that, Joe Milton is a great thrower of the football, but he's just not a quarterback. And that's, I don't mean that to sound ugly. I mean, he's just kind of a guy, sort of happy-go-lucky, and there's not a great sense of urgency with him. He'd do two or three things in a game that just make you go, wow. But then they had the issues they had the other night with getting to the line, getting the play called, getting in and out of things. They had to burn several timeouts. And Hendon Hooker, I'll give Watson Brown a lot of credit. And he told me several times, George, on your program and then on mine, he said, when this guy goes, you're going to realize how good this guy is, the level he's playing. And Joe Milton's just he's a college quarterback. He's not great. He's not terrible, but he's just not going to function at an ultra high level for them. So that compounding with the fact that their offensive line, look, I had found out after the game talking to some people because Ollie Lane had a rough night. You know, he's a local Knoxville kid.
Right.
And they had him in there at center because Cooper Mays still not back from his injury. And who knows when he's going to get back from the injury? Who knows? But I didn't think he was going to play at Florida. Heupel kind of played the head coach game that these guys do where, look, as long as they don't make these guys turn in, injury reports like they do in the NFL, they're all going to fib a little and have a little fun and do whatever they're going to do, gamesmanship. But the truth is, Ollie Lane is a local guy who last year, at the end of the season, decided he was done. Tennessee went to him, talked him back into the boat, basically begged him back into the boat because they have been that poor thus far in Heupel's tenure of developing offensive linemen. And so a guy they thought was going to either help them at guard or as a depth piece ended up on the spot the other night, moving the ball around, getting caught for a couple of holding penalties, that sort of thing. And he's drawn the ire of our fan base. And my message to the fans is, don't blame that kid. Blame that head coach. That wasn't that kid's idea to be in the middle of that. He didn't do it. Now, he didn't perform the other night, but he easily could have just said, hey, you know what, guys? Have a great one. Have a good life. I've had a nice college career. I'm going to go start my post-college life. We're all going to go in professional in something other than football and going about his business. But for his troubles now, he's going to forever be linked to that game, which I think is very, very much a shame. So, and I wanted to kind of get that into the record this week, that he actually did Tennessee a solid coming back. But, George, there's not a player in Tennessee's too deep on their offensive line that Heupel recruited that they have any designs on being an offensive lineman. That is a major, major problem here, a major problem.
Tony, see if you can go with me on some of this. Would we both agree Hendon Hooker was about as close to perfect for them a year ago as you could ever get? True?
No question.
Okay.
He performed flawlessly. Yep.
He had an incredibly talented, deep array of wide receivers that they don't have right now. Agree?
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
And he had a better offensive line than what they have at the moment. Would you buy that?
Not even close.
Okay.
Not even comparable.
So, with that in mind, when I watched them Saturday, I saw a lot of run right up the middle and a lot of catch the ball out of the gun and quickly throw it to the wide receiver. It just looked like those were the two plays they ran over and over and over. How is he trying to mask the fact that his quarterback isn't Hooker? Now, in fairness, he's not the worst out there. He's not the best. There's certain things he can't do. Not very good at the touch ball. But there are also a lot of schools out there that don't even have that. How is he trying to mask all this, in your opinion?
Well, you said it. I mean, they're basically, and it's not just Milton, you know. Milton's got that thing where he just doesn't feel the game, which makes it very difficult. You know, and you either feel something or you don't. He just doesn't have that quality about him. You said it. I mean, he made three throws the other night that were incredible throws. I mean, you just kind of go, wow. Threw a ball to Thornton in the seam about
best throw
35 yards. Oh, man, he threw that thing right over his shoulder, right in his breadbasket. Just a beautiful throw. The touchdown throw that he had to Brew McCoy was a really pretty throw. The problem with Joe is that you can't get to the line and burn those timeouts. And then before the half, Tennessee had an opportunity to get a quick score. They were going to get the ball after, and they pride themselves on what they call the middle eight, which is the end of the half, the beginning of the third quarter.
The Belichick
They pride
deal.
themselves. Yeah, they pride themselves on winning that. They had a chance to tack on some points at the end of the half, ball up around midfield, and he let the play clock run down to like 1 second or so. And Kirk Herbstreit doing the game said, hey, he just burned 25 seconds there, when you only had 50 seconds on the clock.
Right.
And so as a starter, you can't do that. What they've tried to do, George, to mask, well, two things have happened here that are really interesting. Their first two opponents basically dropped 7 and dared Tennessee to take the underneath stuff, which they were forced to because they didn't get long balls. They didn't. Tennessee the other night got behind. Then they started throwing the ball. Florida's defense, I think, got a little softer. That kind of happens when you get a couple scores up. Billy Napier kind of took the air out of the ball on the offensive side, and essentially they just ran clock, which with these new clock rules creates a situation like the NFL has where you get 3 scores down a game, you almost have to be pinpoint perfect if you're going to come back on offense.
Or you're
we see
screwed.
that in the NFL, those of us who watch that game. Yeah, or you're in big trouble because I can just run the clock out on you. So they've basically, in these signature games, they've changed the tenor and the way the game feels and the way it's going to be played. So if you get that third score up, in other words, you're plus 14, if you're like they were the other night, you get up 18, 19 points. For all intents and purposes, you need a miracle now to win a football game, and particularly when you're on the road. The other thing that occurred, so what Tennessee's done is they've relied on their running game, which is top 25 in America. They have also thrown a lot of checks underneath, a lot of short stuff, and haven't really stretched the field the way we're used to seeing a Josh Hype football being played. Well, these defenses are taking the deep ball away.
Right.
They're dropping 7. And the other night, Florida, for the most part, rushed 4, and they were still getting home. So they didn't hardly blitz. They didn't hardly, they didn't feel the need to do those sorts of things because it was just that kind of night for Tennessee. And the Vols, even when they had their momentum the other night, they had the situation happen like when the head referee bumped into the football on the way back to his spot. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. And if I could take one encapsulation of what this damn Florida series down there has been for Tennessee, it would be that play. I would put that right there in a time capsule because, George, I think there's a time like you and I follow baseball. I think in baseball, there's a time for a manager to come out and explode on an umpiring crew every once in a while. If I was Heupel, once Florida got that ball back, I would have run out there and gotten a 15-yard penalty and said, "What are you people doing? You're gonna substitute." I would say to the referee, we didn't work on that play back in the summer. You kicking the ball away from us. So thanks for putting that on film for us. And then I would have said, but you also let them substitute 2 guys in, and we didn't substitute. So you just let them have an illegal substitution. And I think he should have gotten a 15-yard penalty. I've noticed that at times he's a little too passive over there with those officials. And the thing about referees is in any of these sports, if you don't fight for your right to party, you're not going to get that right. Rick Barnes is kind of a master of that. And Tony Vitello, the other guy we follow here, these guys don't take it from officials. And I think Josh at times is a little too nice, a little too passive.
You need to show him an Earl Weaver film.
No doubt.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask the Nico question later unless Kelly does it, but you have answered my stuff beautifully, which I knew you would. Kelly, say hello to Tony.
That's kind of where I was going, Tony. I mean, it's one game, and you hadn't won in, they have not won in Florida in so many years, and just looked like the other night they were trying to call something. I don't think Joe Milton played bad, but I like what you said because that's exactly right. As a quarterback, you've kind of got to have some energy about you, some pizzazz about you. Get up to the line of scrimmage. You got to make people mad sometimes. And I think Joe Milton's a great kid, but like as a quarterback, like you've got to have some juice about you sometime. The guy can throw it through a wall, but it's one game. And I'm going to ask you this. Like I remember Coach Donnelly used to always say to us, he's like, I'm not going to lose with a senior. I'll put a freshman in there if I'm going to lose. And we're talking about one game. And I don't think the SEC is very good this year. So there's obviously plenty winnable games coming up. But what if this keeps going? I mean, if you're going to lose games, why would you not put the freshman in, the Nico kid in?
Kelly, I made people very angry on my post-game show, which really is not my style, because I like to please people on the air. But people are really angry there tonight. Why didn't you put him in? You're not going to put a true freshman in that game, in that environment, behind that offensive line. You're just not.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're mad at that kid or you never want to see him again. I mean, I can see why you might want to put him in a game. Now, going forward, Tennessee's got Texas San Antonio Saturday, a team they should handle. I think Nico will get some time this week. Then they have South Carolina at home, which is all of a sudden a dangerous game for the way Tennessee's performing offensively. At some point, they're going to get Cooper Mays back. And I think at some point, my guess is, if I had to guess the way this thing's going to play out, I think the Vols will drop a game or two between now and November, as much as I hate to say that. And when that happens, I think they'll be more apt to give Cooper May or to give Nico an opportunity. But I really, talking to people, I really get the sense that they love him. They think he's going to be a great player. They don't want to put him in there until the conditions are right, even if it means losing a game or two along the way. Because, these guys that have this special talent, they don't come around a bunch. They did, and they want to be really careful with him. They want to be really nurturing with him. That's what's going on here.
Well, that's a good answer. I can understand that. I was thrust into the spotlight, but I was 1AA, so I understand that. But let's go to the defense a little bit. This is kind of my last thing for you because you've given like everything that's great, but like defensively the other day, like, and you obviously know that was Billy Napier's plan the other day to kind of take the air out of the ball, not going to let them do what they did against them last year. And we talked about it yesterday. I talked about it with George. Like when you lose four guys that go to the NFL, like the Hyatt kid, the Tillman kid, the two offensive linemen, that's pretty big on an offense that did all they did last year. But defensively, the other night, when the ETN kid rose through there, number 5, I don't remember his name, but the number 5 comes down. He didn't even try to make a tackle. Like there were so many missed tackles in that game. And I've been really impressed about Tennessee's defense up until this point because I said that they've gotten faster. They're kind of like the offense. But the other night, it just didn't translate to what they were doing on the field. They were missing tackles. They were making mistakes. Just didn't look good on the defensive side of the ball.
They were making alignment mistakes. They were doing the zone man zone stuff and so on and so on, not communicating. The Kamal Haddon play you're talking about, I think was a real signature play in the game because it really allowed Florida to kind of wrest control the game. And there were two guys that had a shot at him. One was the Herring kid and one was 5. Right. And look, the Herring kid's young, and that's a very good back there. It's a veteran player who, made a really nice move in the open field on Herring. But Kamal Haddon, you can't just bump into a guy. I mean, you got to get that guy on the ground, or at least attempt to get him on the ground. I mean, he tackled him like he was Deion Sanders or something when he used to play with the Cowboys. I mean, you got to get in there and, put your head down and try to make a play. The thing about Kamal Haddon is the same guy, which you got to love people like him in sports because you can't tell whether he's just gotten burned for a 40-yard pass over his head or he broke a play up on third down, his reaction is going to be exactly the same. He's going to get up and celebrate. I'm surprised he didn't get up and celebrate on that one and go into the end zone and celebrate with Florida. He celebrates after every play. I mean, this guy is an absolute rock. This guy is like, you talk about a guy that Tennessee fans are tired of. That would be that guy. And rightfully so. At the end of the game, he was in the middle of a skirmish. He antagonized a big old offensive lineman from Florida, and he was backpedaling. The Florida lineman had his helmet on. Kamal Hadden doesn't even have a helmet on. And he's over there like going to fight with this big lineman, and he was retreating. He was in full retreat mode, like he was, trying to act like Switzerland over there. And I mean, guys like that on a football field, Kelly, have always amused me. They never quit talking. They never shut up. They never learn. And that's Kamal Hadden. So that's the guy that allowed that big play to happen.
Tony, your stuff, and I knew it'd be great. This is not a surprise, but man, your breakdown of this has been tremendous. So, in the Middle Tennessee area where most of our stuff probably comes from, if a person doesn't know how to hear more of this from you, how do they find you?
Well, thank you. My website is tclub.team, and we, after games, get on the air and go till I can't do it anymore. The other night, we quit about 3:40 Eastern time, 3:30, 3:40. And so that's why, George, I've bathed in this for like, I don't know, let's say 5, 8, 11, probably 11 to 14 hours on air since the game.
Oh my!
So
Lord.
I better have a good breakdown of this, George, or there's something really wrong with me.
Either that or you're a masochist. Holy cow!
Well, there is that.
3:40 in the morning. Let me ask you this: any of the callers have a couple of sauces? Taste for the grape.
Hey George, after 1:30 Eastern, it is a prerequisite. If I could, I would put like a breathalyzer on our phone and make everybody blow into it. If we could come up with an apparatus like that, and to get on, you'd have to be inebriated. If you heard some of those callers, like at 1 o'clock, it is like the twilight zone. The people that are there at 2 a.m., it is literally like being in the twilight zone. But the other night, I finally said, look, everybody, I have had enough.
I'm going to bed.
I love you. I'm for you, not against you, but I am going to sleep. And we still had all of our calls, all of our lines were jammed.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it anymore.
Okay.
We had Scott on Facebook chime in. He said that you took it much easier on Kelly than you did about the callers asking about Nico going into the game. So Kelly, he took it easy on you.
Yeah, by now I've gotten, that's right. By now I've kind of slowed my roll here. That's the other thing about those games. You do a post-game show and your adrenaline is really pumping.
Oh, yeah.
The game just got played and everybody's at everybody's throats. And I had a guy tell me, he sent me an email and he said, it's a really bad look for you to punch down on a couple of your callers. Punching down, are you, Tony? Punching down. I've never even heard that saying. I was like, what does punch down mean? I asked my wife, what does punch down? She's like, well, that's like when you pick on someone. I go, what? What? So we're like all turning on each other and everybody's mad at each other. And so if that's your kind of thing, check us out at tclub.team. Actually, we also have a good time celebrating the wins as well. But since I'm an equal opportunity torturer of myself, we do that during basketball and then even some baseball games as well.
You are the best, Tony. Thank you for doing this.
I'm something. You're the man. You guys have a great day.
Hey, talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Whew. 3:40 in the morning, Knoxville time. Now
that's 2:40 our time, and the Colorado game ended. I don't think I went to bed till about 1:50 our time. So
Now,
think there are a lot
let
of
me
people.
say this. In my past, I had a little of this masochism.
What do you mean by masochism?
Well, just the, enduring punishment kind of thing. I was part of a 19-hour broadcast of a Predator ticket-thon - keep the team in town. That's a lot of hours.
So it,
Now,
think there are a lot
let
of
me
people.
say this.
I'm out on that, fellas.
What'd you say?
I said I'm out on that. I'm not
Yeah.
staying up to 3:40 in the morning either.
Not
Not
anymore.
doing it.
But
No.
at the end, when he got off the air, Colorado State had just thrown the last punch at that point. We'll go to the break, and then we'll conduct an exercise in futility, ranking the SEC 1 through 14. It's pretty easy to get number 1. You can probably get number 14. But in between, it ain't easy. This is just two people's opinions. Stick around.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Okay, this little exercise of ranking the SEC 1 through 14, is it stupid? Yeah, maybe. But it's good talk, and it's fairly interesting. Kelly and I put this one together, so I can't totally blame it on him. But there's a lot of splitting hairs here, and if you have reactions of how did you put such and such instead of such and such, feel free to let us hear it. But here's where we went. It's pretty easy to put Georgia at number 1. It was really easy to put Vandy at 14. After that, a lot of splitting hairs. We went with LSU because they looked so good, Kelly, in Starkville. That was what Florida State thought they were going to see.
Yeah, and I don't know how good Mississippi State is. Like I said yesterday, Will Rogers just felt like he was out of his element. They're trying to run the ball a little bit more. Obviously, when what happened to Mike Leach, he loved to throw the ball all the way around, and Will Rogers didn't look comfortable the other day, and that has something to do with LSU. LSU's still pretty good, but this morning I got to say, this morning when you called me, I was on the golf course, so I was like splitting hairs. I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And now I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking Kentucky. I don't know if we should have put Kentucky at 13, George,
Okay.
but we did.
Okay, fair enough. Hold on.
I was curious about that one.
Yeah, let's maybe. I mean, we give ourselves the right to rethink. Except it's hard to go up to the TV and put a slash mark.
Right.
So
let me ask you about Alabama.
Yeah.
Was that mostly your decision, or was Kelly?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
we were both in on that one.
Where would you put them?
I don't know that I'd put them at 3. I just think after last week against USF, they looked so discombobulated. Yeah, and Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss hasn't. It's hard because we're only through 3 weeks,
right?
So it's hard, and this is really a crapshoot. I just think Alabama, like a team like Ole Miss or Florida, I might put Alabama closer to 5 or 6 as opposed to 3. But I mean, they go beat Ole Miss, that would change. So
that game is in Tuscaloosa. Ironically, they're playing this week. We had to put Florida ahead of Tennessee, because they just smoked them.
Mm-hmm.
You can call it what you want. We put Auburn at 7. They're undefeated right now. Are they any good? I don't know. I mean, what I saw, I may be the one person that stayed up late to watch it. My buddy Peter Sermon,
the Cal game,
they survived. My buddy Peter Sermon, his defense at Cal played really good against Auburn, gave up a winning touchdown with 4 minutes left. That one's really fluid.
Yeah.
In the 8-hole, A&M.
It looked good too, but haven't played in it.
Yeah, UL Monroe, the tired old sad sack that all the SEC teams say, come play us. I'm waiting for somebody to play at UL Monroe. Maybe the Cubans or the Russians or the Guatemalans, but certainly nobody from the SEC. Did anybody see Arkansas's meltdown against BYU?
That was bad.
KJ Jefferson, here's a thought. Ball security.
They just do that every year, George. They start off really good, and then you start expecting things from them, and just, I don't know, they just go backwards. I don't understand it, and you're right. It's kind of like what Tony was saying about Joe Milton. Like, the lackadaisical part cannot happen from a quarterback. You just can't do that. You can't be lackadaisical and play the position at a high level. You just can't do that. And that just seems like what he does. I mean, he's a talented guy. He's a big dude. He's hard to get down. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. But like when you're lackadaisical with the ball, that's going to get you beat.
And they got beat up front. And that's what Sam Pittman's known for. That's a bigger problem.
Yeah, they couldn't. They could not hold off BYU's front four by the end of the game. So Dick Gabriel's going to join us just after 3:00 to talk Kentucky. So we're Kelly, you and I are admitting that while you were on the golf course and I was half asleep, that's not the right number for Kentucky. What is?
I think you put them at 8, and I think you just bump everybody else down is what I do. I really do. I think you just, I was looking at that and I started thinking about that. Of course, I was trying to get my golf game in order this morning so I could do something, and I finally did. But
what's more important here, Kelly?
His golf game.
This morning it was my golf game. Right now it's this. But I think that you put Kentucky up where Texas A&M and just bump everybody down. That's kind of where I'm at.
I'm with you. And
so did y'all just forget about Kentucky or
no? When you try to do this, first of all, for about 10 minutes, I couldn't think of one of the teams. And I'm writing down, we've talked about A&M. We've talked about Cuba, Texas Pan American. I could not think of one of the teams at 8:30 in the morning. So that's the last time I'm going to do this exercise at 8:30 in the morning. So I'm with Kelly. Let's move Kentucky way up and call it a complete screw up on our end. Mississippi State, I've got no problem dropping to the bottom.
Yeah.
I think right above Vandy. I think right now, Kelly, they're in this round peg in a square hole. This guy's trying to run, and they haven't run blocked in 4 years.
No, I think you're right. I think they're just they're in a transition phase right now where they've got to recruit some guys that understand that. And I think he's just going to have to deal with what he's got with this year. I don't think South Carolina. I've just never been a Spencer Rattler guy. I don't think they're very good. Missouri came in, they beat Kansas State, George. So you got to move those guys up, and they might even be up further. I don't know. We'll have to have more of a test for Missouri, but they beat Kansas State, and Kansas State was ranked 15th in the country. I mean, that's all these other SEC teams went against ranked teams and got pummeled, and then Missouri beats Kansas State with a 61-yard field goal. So I just think Kentucky needs to move up and everybody else moves down.
Here's the other thing, though, on all of this. South Carolina scared the crap out of Georgia. Just remember that.
They did. You're right. They did.
It feels like there's a little storm cloud at Georgia, that there's not quite the weaponry offensively that there has been.
Yeah, it doesn't
That's
feel
what I was
like,
about to say. Yep.
It feels like there's more separation between Vandy and everybody else as opposed to Georgia and everybody else.
Might be right about that.
Just right now. Yeah, as opposed to last year. Last year it was Georgia and boom, you drop down and it's everybody else. I think it's a little bit more even this year.
Okay. Stat of the day after the break, and then Dick Gabriel, who knows as much about the University of Kentucky as anybody. Stick around.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. It has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Top of the hour, a little late getting to Dick Gabriel, but we will take our time with him talking Kentucky and Vandy on Saturday.
No Hawaiian shirt today out of him.
No, we will see what Dick is wearing today. But first, stat of the day, brought to you by John English Sports and Cards, Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. Let's see what we got. We're going baseball. I think it's baseball. No, it's not. It's not baseball. My bad. We're going football. Last night's game, of course, TJ Watt was a menace. At age 28, he just became the Steelers' all-time leader in sacks, passing which player?
Okay, easy to go back, Kelly, to the Chuck Noll era when they were so good. Mean Joe Green.
Right.
L.C. Greenwood. Hold on a second. Okay, fine. Let's bring Dick Gabriel up because he's giving us sort of the, I think I have the answer. Hello, Dick.
How are you?
Good. What's the answer?
You want the answer?
Yeah.
I think it could be Greg Lloyd.
Pretty sure it's James Harrison.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one.
Punch this.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all will, let me give y'all a James Harrison deal, okay? James Harrison, when I was playing for the Cleveland Browns, I was starting for the Cleveland Browns, okay? We got out, and he was behind Joey Porter, and our running back, William Green, got in a fight with Joey Porter before the game. So they kicked Joey Porter out of the game. Guess who his backup was? None other than James Harrison. That was his first game starting. Yeah, and he played against me, and it sucked.
Did he get you?
Oh yeah. He hit me. Wasn't he's a big, thick dude. He's a really hard worker. But yeah, that was a good guess, man. That's
did he sack
I was
you?
thinking. I don't know if he sacked me. I don't know if he sacked me. I don't remember that, but I know he hit me a couple of times,
sure
and I'm like, golly, good gracious! Like Joey Porter goes out, and then they bring in James Harrison. That's great. Thanks, Pittsburgh. Awesome. That's why I hate the Steelers to this day.
It's called depth.
Yeah, that's right. It is called depth. You're right.
Go Steelers. Okay, so now let's talk a little University of Kentucky football.
Right.
I expected something wild shirt-wise, and instead I got really just kind of conservative.
Can you see my badge?
Oh.
This is my tribute to the NYPD.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a buddy who's an NYPD cop.
So do you like the intro when I just say Dick Gabriel is wired to Kentucky like virtually nobody?
A couple of us have been on the beat for quite a while. Tom Leach has incredible depth, depth of knowledge, as you know, in Kentucky football. I've just been around, me and another guy, Larry Vaught, we've been around since the mid-'70s. So we've seen a lot and seen a lot of mediocrity, but right now we're seeing fairly good football. Not as good right now as it's been under Mark Stoops, but the potential's there.
By the way, you tell Tom Leach He's got a big fan in Nashville, Tennessee. That's
I'll do
me.
it.
I think he's an underrated, great play-by-play voice.
Inducted into the Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame on Monday.
Excellent. Didn't know it, but I'll congratulate him Saturday.
Yeah.
So y'all are hard to figure out right now because you've gone to the Watson Brown model, which is play 4 games at home in September that you ought to be able to win, and then you get into conference play with more confidence. So how good do you think Kentucky is?
Well, right now it's good, but I think it's a good team, but a sloppy team, not from being undisciplined. I wouldn't say that, but it's just a team that's making uncharacteristic mistakes. We haven't seen this in Mark Stoops' team since they got over that hump, since they started going to bowl games. But you're talking, George, about pre-snap penalties, holding calls on the other side of the field where, you just shouldn't even be fooling with that kind of thing. You're talking about, and this, I think at times, and Kelly can speak to this, young receivers running the wrong routes and misconnecting with their quarterback. Just a myriad of little things that have added up. And what they've done is come at the worst possible times. It seems like they always come on 3rd down, and they have short-circuited a lot of drives. And just last Saturday, one of them erased a 60-yard touchdown pass. So, then that's against non-conference opponents. You know what happens when you join the SEC. That's big boy football. And with all due respect, even Vandy, and what people need to realize is how close this Vandy series is. You know it. Kelly knows it. There's only 5 wins by Kentucky that separate them. Otherwise, they're dead even.
Dick, you all went transfer portal for a quarterback. What are the early returns?
Well, some of the fans are restless already because Devin Leary's stats the first 2 games in the first halves of each game were underwhelming, to say the least. And then he turned it on in the second half in both games and delivered numbers similar to what he delivered at NC State. This past game, he was pretty good top to bottom. It was just that, like I said, some of his receivers dropped passes or ran the wrong routes. But he's also being asked to run a different kind of offense than he ran at NC State, with more of the downfield stuff. And he's still learning to connect with his teammates. And, yeah, he's been here for a while. But, once the real games begin, all the preseason stuff kind of goes out the window. But talking to a couple former players, one's a quarterback, one's a DB who knows how to prepare for quarterbacks. They both told me they are highly impressed with Devin Leary and the job he's doing.
You'll like this one. It's been, I don't know, about a month ago now. I went to see the Braves and the Mets, and David Cutcliffe met me. He lives in Birmingham. He's a big Braves fan. He had not been to the stadium, but I peppered him as the game got out of hand, go Braves, with a lot of, how did you do it at Duke? What was the get over the hump moment? For Stoops, I mean, it's now nobody questions anymore that what this guy has done is nothing short of brilliant. What started to get him over the hump?
Better players. And that's an easy answer, but better players and more of them is the more accurate response. For years and years, and you've seen it at Vandy, Kentucky was able to play good teams, better teams, into the fourth quarter, and then the game would get away, and people would say things like they just didn't want it enough or they were out coached. No, they ran out of gas. And he has built enough depth now to where they can rotate D linemen, for crying out loud. And in the past, they've been able to rotate offensive linemen. But you know how it is. You've got to have numbers to compete in the SEC. And for the longest time, it was Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee scarfing up all the numbers. But more and more teams are doing a better and better job of building that depth. And now George, with the portal figuring into all this, I mean, there's more and more parity, I think, in all of college athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelly, say hello to Dick Gabriel, who just basically took our stupidity in stat of the day and just said, I'm your daddy.
He did. I'm just sitting here. Me and George need to talk before the show because he asks every question that I want to ask. It's kind of amazing. But and this may be an unfair question, but and you just talked about the transfer portal. But do you think he's obviously had more depth? He's got more depth going on. Do you think that Coach Stoops can get the Kentucky Wildcats, who's always been known for basketball? It's a basketball state. Can he get those from being in the middle of the pack to being an upper echelon SEC school?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how consistently he can do that, but he's flirted with it, Kelly. And he was in a couple of different seasons, a few plays away from getting to Atlanta. So,
Yeah.
It's just a matter of you got to catch Georgia at the right time. And now here's the problem. Divisions are going away. So that's going to make it, I think, tougher on the mid-level, the mid-tier teams like Kentucky and South Carolina and right now Tennessee and right now Florida, quite frankly. But I think so because I've seen them play for that right to go to Atlanta. And a couple of times they were pretty close. Another time they got blown out by Georgia, but, things happen. But it's got to be, I think, a year when maybe the powerhouse teams aren't quite as dominant, but you got to stay healthy. But I think the answer is yes, just not every year. They won't be in that same conversation every year. But quite frankly, I never thought I'd see the day where Kentucky flirted with 10 wins, every other year, and we'll go to a bowl game every year. Here in Lexington, we used to say 6 or 7 wins a year. They're going to put a statue on campus of whatever coach can do that and have a parade downtown. Now people grumble over 7 wins.
Don't you think that, we're talking about the transfer portal. Don't you think the transfer portal, and I think you hit it right on the head right there because it's created a lot of parity. And you look at what Alabama looks awful right now. They're not very good, but they lost a bunch of kids last year. But don't you think that the transfer portal, if you get the right guys, they can get him over that hump? And maybe, I don't know if you can be consistent. I'm like you, I'm not sure, but maybe you could.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You get the right kids through that portal and build with recruiting through the rest. Oh, of course you can. And it's interesting right now, Kentucky's kind of stuck in a cycle where it seems like they're looking at the portal every year for a quarterback. That's not quite the case, but they have done it. This will be the 3rd year. After Levis had 2 years, this is the only year for Leary. Now they have recruited a kid here in Lexington who has potential to be a top-notch quarterback. But if they have to start him next year, I think that's a problem. So they may go back to the portal and find somebody else for next season, or maybe the backup kid this year earns a starting job. But to your point, yeah, if you do the right research. And now the other problem too is you can lose kids, and Kentucky lost a couple of good players through the portal, including one of their best D linemen.
So up until this point, I know, the 3 games that George has talked about. Now you're going into SEC play with Vanderbilt, but who has impressed you the most? Has it been the Leary kid? Has it been somebody else? Who's impressed you on both sides of the ball?
On the offensive side, a guy you know pretty well, Ray Davis. He torched Kentucky last year.
Yeah,
and he's been terrific. He has been absolutely terrific. It's interesting too with the receiving core. You had the 2 freshmen last year who lit it up, but the guy who has really been the most impressive and the most consistent is the guy you would think is the number 3 receiver in the rotation, and that's the slot guy, Tavion Robinson, who transferred in through the portal last year from Virginia Tech. Started out with guns blazing and then just kind of faded away. And he told us he was going to rededicate himself this year, and he has been their best receiver so far. So that's a name you'll hear, I think, a lot on Saturday. They've got a rotation of tight ends, Kelly, that's as good as I've ever seen at Kentucky, and I've been covering football here since the 70s. They've got the deepest set of tight ends I've ever seen. Defensively, you'll hear the name Trevin Wallace unless Vandy just does a great job on him. He is a freakishly talented linebacker, which you'd basically call a middle linebacker back in the day. He's been their best blitzer. He can cover. He can drop back in coverage. He plays the run. When I first met him, It was before his freshman year, and there was a little gathering of the UK Network people at a cookout in the summertime. He walked up to me and stuck his hand out and said, "Hi, my name's Trevin Wallace. You're going to be hearing a lot about me." And he wasn't lying. We really have. The Kentucky corners last week tackled extremely well. And they'll get tested, as you know, on Saturday. But on defense, it's Wallace. And, of course, Deion Walker, the huge defensive lineman.
I got you. So my last question, just give me your overall assessment of the Southeastern Conference. To me right now, the Southeastern Conference not playing very well. And they've got this motto. We always talk about it. I don't know if we make fun of it, but it just means more.
Oh, it just means more.
Yeah, it just means more. But, like, they get blown out by Florida State. They've had some, get blown out by Utah. They've had some teams that are supposed to be this and that. Alabama's not playing good. Georgia hadn't looked very good. I mean, it took them to the wall. South Carolina did last week. So, just kind of, what are your thoughts about the SEC as a whole this year?
And maybe it doesn't mean as much as it should.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Final Four in basketball last year, when you had a lot of teams that weren't necessarily name brands getting through the tournament, and a lot of that was because of the portal. It's been the great equalizer, and I think teams are running into that. Of course, the extreme, and I mean that in a positive way, example is Colorado. But right. I do think that it has brought some parity, and they have lost some of the depth that they've enjoyed. I'm talking about the powerhouse SEC teams. And you've got great players from last year moved on, other guys with an opportunity to play more, and maybe they're not living up right now to what they should be. So, I think it's kind of fun, though, because you never know who's going to do what, and you're never surprised, or you shouldn't be, I guess, unless an Alabama loses or a Georgia loses. And Alabama, by the way, in all fairness, lost to a pretty good Texas team.
Oh, really good.
Dick, real quick here. Thanks for coming on. Ray Davis, have you gotten a chance to talk to him about facing off with Vanderbilt? You think there's some extra motivation there?
Well, yeah, we've all talked to him. We talked to him in preseason. We talked to him after the game. We're going to talk to him again today. He is nothing but reverential when it comes to his time at Vanderbilt. He never misses an opportunity to talk about how much he cares about some of the guys who are still here, the coaches who are here, the pride he takes in having a degree from Vanderbilt. One of my buddies on the beat here, Daryl Bird of the Cat's Paws, wrote a tremendous article about Ray, and the challenges he went through in the Foster system and what it took to get him to D1 college football and eventually to Vanderbilt and now Kentucky. So I really believe the Big Blue Nation has fallen in love with Ray Davis. Now, a lot of that's got to do with the fact that he's a heck of a player. But as you guys know, he's a great talker. God help us, he wants to be in this business when he's done with football. So, no, he's been as good as advertised, maybe better.
And he's a great example of what the portal can do. Kentucky saw him run all over them last year, and boom, he's on their roster.
If he wants to get into broadcasting, he's not as smart as I thought.
As soon as they saw his name in the portal, they jumped, because you don't replace Chris Rodriguez overnight. And they've got some good kids in the running backs room with him, but they're not as good.
So I'm going on with you tomorrow morning.
Well, we're going to tape it in the morning.
Okay. Are we? Do you dare put me on like by Zoom where they see what I look like?
Strictly radio, brother.
Kelly, your thoughts?
He's got a face for radio, that's for sure.
We do tweet a photo to promote the show, so George, maybe that backfires on us. I don't know.
There's one.
Are you sure you want him on tomorrow?
Maybe it'll be an artist rendering,
like they do on Fox. That's beautiful.
Hey, I'm recording it, Kelly, so I can chop it up and make him say what I want.
Okay, you can edit it, so you're good.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Dick, thank you as always.
My pleasure.
This man's wired. He knows what's going on in Lexington. Dick Gabriel joining us on the show. After the break, we're going to tell you about an event that if you're a sports fan, you're going to want to know about. It number one involves something really good going on in our community, and they have landed a great speaker, a guy I've known for years who I'm a big fan of. We'll explain it all when we come back.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Okay, let's see how I do this. I've got to let a good friend of mine in the house, and he went to the wrong door. Hopefully, he now has the right stuff to get in here. Yes, Kelly, these things do happen from time to time. And,
Unbelievable, George.
Well, just deal with it. A year ago, I got invited to a banquet that I had no idea going in exactly what to expect. The Stars basketball banquet, and it was terrific. And so when they reached out to me asking for a little bit of help this year and told me who the featured speaker was, I said, absolutely, I want to help get the word out on this. Lance, let's go ahead and pull Lance up. Lance, I want you to give me your last name so I don't butcher it.
Akridge.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was gonna go A. So thank you for helping me.
Yeah.
You all use sort of a motto of basically planting seeds for Christ through basketball. How did all this start?
That's right. And George, thanks for having me on, number one. So good to see you. So yeah, we started 9 years ago, George, as a ministry partner of Upward Sports out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. And about 4 years ago, we went on our own and became just Stars Basketball Club. And we basically had the mission the entire time is to use basketball as a tool to reach kids for Christ. And in those 8 or 9 years, we've been blessed to grow exponentially. And we say this proudly, not arrogantly. We're probably one of the biggest basketball clubs now in the Southeast. We put a great product on the court. You know, we play on the biggest stage, and we play on the Under Armour Rise shoe circuit. We have about 70 college players that are now playing basketball that played, you know, with us in high school. And we basically are a year-round provider of basketball through camps, clinics, programming, 3-on-3 tournaments, you name it. We use about any potential way through the game of basketball to try to represent Christ in everything that we do. And that all starts with coaches. We have a great coaching staff with about 80 plus coaches on our staff, a lot of current high school coaches, middle school coaches, former college players, have a strong connection with Belmont. A lot of former Belmont players coach with us. So yeah, we're very excited about what we've done, but we're also more excited about the future and kind of enlarging our territory and continuing to reach more athletes with our message.
Well, you absolutely got my attention a year ago. And then when you told me that a good friend, Jimmy Dykes, will be the featured speaker, you've hit a home run. Jimmy will be terrific. I know you've read his book. Man, he's got a powerful message.
No, we're super excited about our fundraising dinner 2 weeks from tonight, actually, on October 3rd, hosted at Brentwood Baptist Church. And we might get into a few more details in a minute. But yeah, Jimmy Dykes followed his podcast for quite a while. Of course, his book you mentioned, The Film Doesn't Lie, is a great read and just lines up with our culture and our message. And obviously being an ESPN college basketball analyst, we're super excited to have, Jimmy Dykes as one of our featured speakers. And as I believe we're also going to have Betty Wiseman, who's a legend in this area, especially with the Belmont community as an early pioneer of college women hoops. And you know her well.
Well, there's not a better human being on earth than Betty Wiseman.
Right. And then we, like I said, for us to get those two types of people at our fundraising dinner speaks hopefully well of our club and our culture and kind of what we're trying to accomplish in the competitive world of basketball. And so couldn't be more excited to have both of them. Last year we had Coach Rick Bird and the current Belmont staff and Lipscomb University staff, both on the men's and women's side, speak at our fundraising dinner. As you know, you were there. But we're super excited about this year's event as well.
So let's sort of go to the bottom line of it. If a person is hearing this for the first time, the event is still 2 weeks away. We're going to run some commercials for you. Sam Moran is ready and raring to go. And just to my right over here, and after the show, we'll cut a commercial or two. How does a person get involved and show up that night?
Yes. Yeah. Appreciate you asking that. But bottom line, you can go to our website, starsbasketballclub.com, starsbasketballclub.com. And on that homepage, you can be directed to our event platform page that talks all about the fundraising dinner. 2 weeks from tonight, Brentwood Baptist Church, right off 565 South Concord Road exit, easy to find, easy to access. Doors open at 5:30. We're going to feed you some great food at 6 p.m. with Greco Street Fair, and then Apple Spice Catering's furnishing drinks and desserts. But the event will actually start around 6:30 with dinner being at 6 p.m. And Jimmy Dykes, Betty Wiseman, myself, a few Stars Club, parents, coaches, and kids will be intertwined throughout the night as well. But you can buy a ticket for $40, George, or you can sponsor a table for $500, which gets you 8 seats. but $40 gets you a ticket, a seat at the table for a great night of dinner, and hopefully a great night of storytelling and entertainment, if you will.
Lance, I'm thrilled at what you all have been able to pull off. Number one, Jimmy's going to be terrific. That's a guarantee. Betty Wiseman is simply at the top of the charts. So that's a great deal that you all are doing there. I just wish you the very best of luck on this. I hope so many people sign up that you don't know where to put them all.
Yeah, we appreciate it, George. Yeah, we're excited, like I said, and we're praying about a great turnout, and we hope to see you there again. And for all you listeners, check out starsbasketballclub.com, and we hope to see you 2 weeks from tonight.
Lance, thank you for the visit.
Yep, thanks for your time, George. Have a great rest of the day.
Lance Akridge from Stars joining us here on the show. If you're a fan of sports in our area, let me strongly encourage you to come to this event. A year ago, I had no clue. I was blown away by the things I saw. Very impressive. We'll go to the break. Here's what's not impressive. Plaster bet of the day. Although we kind of bounced back last night with a big one in black and gold. Stay with us.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Final segment on a Tuesday. It's time now for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. And we start by recapping what happened last night. George got back on track, got a win with the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
Even though their offense looks like mush.
It could use a little work.
Pickett could use some time back there.
They have no running game.
No.
Win's a win. Win's a win.
A win's a win.
Listen to Kelly. Kelly's like, move on.
I mean, God, I hate the Steelers. I hate even talking about them.
So you watched from beginning to end?
I didn't watch beginning to end, but I watched the majority of the game, and I thought I actually cut it off before they had the. I thought the Browns. You never know, but I thought the Browns were in kind of control of things, and then they get a fumble late, and then they run it back for a touchdown. And Jim Moore used to put these stats up, stats to winning games, and one of the big ones was if the defense scores a touchdown, your percentages of winning the game go way down. If they score 2 touchdowns, if the defense scores 2 touchdowns, you're not going to win that game in the NFL. It's just not going to happen.
What'd you think of the all-white Brownie uniforms, Kelly?
I dug it, man. I mean, it's a different look.
Seeing them in white helmets.
It was. I mean, that was a little different, but hey, I mean, spice it up a little bit. That's what gets people
brown
excited.
And orange is what they're made for. That's what they need to stick to.
Relax, Francis.
Listen, you just lighten up. I'm going to pick another winner here, Kelly.
Okay, we'll see.
If you look at the races right now in both leagues in baseball, obviously there's no football tonight. In the National League, you've got a race that has come down to Arizona, the Cubs, Cincinnati, and Florida. And basically, 2 of the 4 are going to get in, 2 are not, and they're separated by like a game. Over in the American League, the race is Toronto, Seattle, Texas. And this is exactly what baseball wanted, was to get some late interest going. For instance, last night in Houston, they drew over 34,000 for their game with the Orioles on a Monday night. That's pretty good.
Not too bad.
That is
anyway, here's why I'm going Arizona tonight. Zach Gallen is one of the most underrated pitchers in the National League. He's at home against the Giants. He's going to kick butt, and I'm going to win.
That's simple.
He's a strike machine. He was acquired. He was a St. Louis Cardinal, another in a series of pitchers that have gotten away. And by the way, before we leave, I was thrilled last night to be able to see Adam Wainwright get his 200th career victory. I don't know if it's good enough to get him in the Hall of Fame, but I know he's a Hall of Fame human being. The people in St. Louis have treated him like royalty. And last night, it gave me chills, their reaction at the end when the relief pitchers came in. He, as has been the case in his career, about the time you want to write him off and say he's washed up, he finds something. And last night, for 6 innings, he was brilliant. I loved it.
I heard he's retiring to become a country music singer.
And he's doing a concert on the final Saturday night of the regular season. They're doing a post-game concert with Adam Wainwright.
Who would have thought?
Oh, wow.
That's
How about
awesome.
that?
That's crazy.
Adam Wainwright grew up down in Georgia, was once a Brave, traded straight up for J.D. Drew. How'd that work out?
Negative.
They can't all be good. Anyway, that's what we've got going. Tomorrow on the show, several things, but I want to bring this up. Danny Evans will join us at 3 o'clock. There are new big developments. Tampa Bay has a stadium deal in St. Petersburg. I never thought I would live to see that. Now, what does that mean for Nashville? I'll tell you what I think it means. I think it means we're going to have an accelerated, quickened pace to MLB figuring out the expansion teams. Nashville is absolutely number 1 on MLB's list. And oh, by the way, the winter meetings where I think all of this would take place is in Nashville. So we'll ask Kenny what happens now. To our knowledge, Nashville doesn't have an owner. We know at the moment they don't have a stadium. By the way, the ownership of the Rays paying for about $600 million of this proposed new deal down there, which is how I think it's going to have to play out here if it's ever going to happen.
George, would you continue being a Braves fan, obviously, but would you have some affinity to a Nashville team, obviously, as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm hoping, if it gets to it, is that we end up in the American League. I can obviously cheer on Nashville, but I can root on the Braves, and the two shall never meet.
That's right. Okay.
How's that for honesty?
I like it.
Okay.
There you go.
We're out of here. Kelly, you behave until tomorrow.
See you.
Billy, you just behave, period.
I'll try.
All of you, have a nice evening. We'll see you tomorrow.